Broken Kanu's way, and Dahui's right out of the centre. It's Kanu, what's he going to do? Oh! Can you believe it?
For now, I mean, last season he played quite a weakened side against Manchester City in the Cup, and I know we got spanked, but I mean, that shows how much of a priority it is. And I guess it's more of a priority this season because we're not in Europe and this one trophy we could realistically win. But I expect us to see like fringe players and some youngsters. The youngsters will hopefully be on the bench. Like I totally agree about Patino, hopefully be on the bench. Hopefully Balogun gets some minutes as well. I guess we'll discuss the team lineup as well. And Joel Lopez is an interesting one because he was the left back who came from Barcelona, and a lot of prospect was given to him, a lot of expectation. And I guess he's still obviously developing and he's still quite young. So, but I know a lot of people were every year when we used to have Tierney get injured or like we would have a bad left back crisis, everyone would be calling for Joe Lopez like, for the last couple of years. So maybe it's a time for him to appear.
Anyone but Kolasinac, really.
Well, yeah, exactly. Anyone but Kolasinac. So what do you think the lineup will be? Because I tweeted out my lineup already, and I've got like a sort of specific idea about it. But there were some positions I actually did quite kind of find difficult because there's not much depth in those positions.
Who have you gone for?
So I went for Leno in goal, Cedric at right back, with Chambers at centre back. Now, this was me assuming that Rob Holding was still injured, but it looks like he's fine. Okay. So it'll probably be Chambers at right back and Rob Holding at centre back. Mari, the other centre back, with Nuno Tavares at left back. And then central midfield, Lokonga and Maitland-Niles.
Okay.
And then the front four, this was where I found it tricky. So I think Lacazette will start, and obviously that will annoy you because we had that discussion about Nketiah and about how but I think Lacazette will start this game. Yeah. I think Martinelli will definitely start. I mean, if there's one player in that front four that will start, definitely it will be Gabriel Martinelli. Mm-hmm. And then the other two positions, I put Smith Rowe and Pepe down. I don't want Saka playing this game. I think it's a bit too... I think he needs the rest. It will be beneficial for him. He will probably play on the weekend. And Odegaard, I think he will definitely play on the weekend. The one thing I guaranteed I don't want to see is Thomas Partey anywhere near the Emirates Stadium. Yeah. I want him at home with his feet up, and same with Kieran Tierney. Like both of them need to have their feet up. And because if any of them appear on the pitch, if they're on the bench, I'll be fuming. So
it's a big risk.
Yeah, exactly. But what was your lineup? What would you go with?
So I think the back line, I would agree. The only change I would personally make, and we had this discussion on the last podcast, was the goalkeeper. I think Leno will start, but if I had my choice, I would choose one of the youngsters. Obviously, Carl Heen has recently signed a new deal, and Okonkwo signed a new deal in the summer. And we saw Okonkwo get some minutes during pre-season, and I think, like I said before, if you're not going to play either one of them or whichever one you choose, if you're not going to play them against Wimbledon, you're not going to get a chance to play them until January at the very earliest, and that's because of the FA Cup. They're not going to, unless we have some sort of serious goalkeeper crisis, which I'm not anticipating. Neither of them are going to start in the Premier League. They might get bench subs appearance, or a chance to sit on the subs bench, not necessarily come off, again, unless there's suspensions or injuries. So I think even though we've just made the change of Ramsdale to Leno, Wimbledon is okay to play a young goalkeeper in my mind. So I would play one of them. I think he'll go Cedric at right back, Chambers at centre back with Holding. Both of them to centre back. I don't think Murray will play, but it wouldn't surprise me if he does. But that's what I would do at centre back anyway. And then at left back, I'd go Tavares. Yeah. In midfield, I think he will go for El Neni and Lokonga. El Neni, I think, is back in training now.
He's being assessed for tomorrow. So
I think given that however that assessment goes, I think El Neni has a chance of starting. On the left-hand side, I agree. Martinelli is probably, apart from the defense, so like the likes of Tavares and the likes of Holding and Chambers, I think Martinelli is probably the only other player that I can say, yeah, he's guaranteed to start. And he came back really rushed to start the season from his Olympic successes. He performed okay versus Brentford, but nothing that really we can say, well, no one expected that, simply because no preseason, no real rest. So we shouldn't have even really been playing him at Brentford anyway, but needs must given the situation that we were in. But he hasn't played any minutes for the last 2 games. I don't think he didn't come on versus Burnley, and he might have come on for a few minutes against Norwich.
I don't think he did.
No,
did he come on in against Man City either? I don't think he's appeared since Chelsea.
You might be right. Yeah, it might have been the Chelsea game. Was his last game. So yeah, no, Martinelli definitely will start. I think Lacazette will start as well.
Even though you don't want it.
I don't know. Him and Nketiah I'd understand more, just simply because of the fact that Nketiah still might stay.
Yeah.
But Lacazette, I think we've decided to move on. He's probably decided to move on. Even though it's Wimbledon and I know we're paying his wages, what's the point? What is the point?
Well, I guess the only point with Lacazette is that there might be a time where Aubameyang gets injured through the season, and I'd much rather Lacazette come in than Nketiah. As much as I agree with you in terms of if you're not staying, then really I don't really want to see you starting games. But I think if Lacazette, if Aubameyang was to get injured, then I would much rather Lacazette up front, because at least he's a bit more proven than Nketiah is, or Balogun. I still am pretty annoyed that Balogun didn't go out on loan and we didn't sort that out. But so yeah, I understand the frustration, but I sort of see it. Like it's very difficult with the experienced players as well, because I think you can't just freeze them out for the whole season because they create a bad atmosphere like Ozil and Socrates did last year. So
I think the issue with it is I would rather, if for whatever reason Aubameyang wasn't available for a long period of time, I'd rather play Martinelli there. I'd rather go Martinelli and then Balogun before I'd go Lacazette. I get what you mean with regards to the experienced players and bad atmosphere and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, if you wanted to play, you could have left in the summer. I think it's been known from Arsenal fans and probably from Lacazette himself that we didn't necessarily want to keep him long term, or I hope that's the case. Obviously, there's been reports in the past about us wanting to offer him a new deal, and that seems to have completely been shut down now. It doesn't look like that's on the table at all, which is good, because it's best for both parties now to move on. So I think he'll play. I personally wouldn't do it, just because if you were able to leave out the likes of Socrates, and you were able to leave out the likes of Ozil in the past, and fair enough, it might have been for completely different reasons, you're able to leave out Lacazette as, rather than 2 big earners, 1 big earner who doesn't have a part of the future and could have left in the summer, could potentially still leave in January. We might force his hand. If you're not playing him now, he might want to play in January. You never know. And then at least that way, we could recoup at least a small transfer fee, maybe, or just be able to get his wages off the books. So if Lacazette does play, I don't think it will be as a striker. I think it will be, or like as an out-and-out striker. I think he'll play as that sort of number 10 or second striker.
No.
Not a number 10 in the conventional sense. But at the end of the day, it's Wimbledon. So I don't really think we need a Smith Rowe, or we should need a Smith Rowe or an Ødegaard as like a conventional playmaker to create chances and score goals. And I think Nketiah will start up front. Balogun, I think, will be on the bench, even though I'd like it the other way around. So Martinelli, Lacazette, Nketiah. And then I think on that right-hand side, I think he'll go for Maitland-Niles.
Oh, really? That's really interesting, yeah.
So I think simply because we don't really have another wing, like another wide player outside of Saka or Pepe. And Maitland-Niles has played there before. And again, and I might be being completely disrespectful, and apologies to any Wimbledon fans that might hear this, or anyone that knows Wimbledon like the back of their hand, or likes Wimbledon. But even if we played a front four of Lacazette, of Lacazette and Nketiah, El Neni as well. Chuck El Neni up front. I don't really care. We should be beating Wimbledon simply off of quality alone. Balance matters in 9 games out of 10. But in this sort of game at home against a team who are kind of lucky to be at this stage.
Yeah.
This is probably one of the furthest cup runs they've had in a while. Like, balance for me in this sort of environment at home against a lower league side doesn't matter as much.